hello, good evening, and welcome. This is Jared Walters with the Now Debate. I am also here with my good friend and compadre, Mr. Richard Oliver. Richard, how are you?
I'm okay, Bert.
There we are.
I'm okay.
The audio seems to be working well, and for you guys who are going to join us in the chat, thank you for tuning in tonight. This is going to be a bit more of a laid-back, shorter Now Debate than what we've been putting out each week for a while. I think we've just taken the last couple of days, myself and Richard, to catch our breath a little bit with everything that has been going on around the pair of us, and thought we'd do tonight's stream as a bit of a catch-up. Maybe we'll talk about some things that has been happening around us, things we find interesting going on in the world, and also maybe answer some of you guys' questions as well. So if you want to answer any questions, just let us know in the chat, and we will be happy to do so. Richard, how be's it?
That's alright, Bert. It's alright. Yes. Everything I wanted to research, I couldn't be bothered to, and everything I was just paid attention to things that just sort of caught my interest, to be honest with you. So I've been having a look at a bit of the news that's been going on, because there's been some strange stuff going on. This Antarctica story as, trust the old media to take a round peg and put it in a round hole, or square peg, sorry, and put it in a round hole. Yeah, I've been looking at that. I don't know how they come up with it.
Right, okay. So,
well, they're trying to say that it's a parallel universe and time is running backwards. Now, where that's, the basics of where that story come from is just mental. Nobody said it. Nobody sort of like the Daily Star took that story and ran with it. And I've seen literally every paranormal and UFO channel on Facebook has been sharing it. So, I don't know, madness.
So, what do you know about it, Matt? Because you have done a little bit of research about this. What do you actually...
Well, I think they call neutrinos. And basically, they went to Antarctica to take some core samples of ice. And they found that these neutrinos, instead of coming from outer space, they're coming up from the Earth.
Right, okay.
And on that premise, people have, there's speculation, shall we say, that time is running backwards. It's not. They just don't know. The truth is, they don't know why it's there and why these neutrinos are coming from the Earth. They don't know how or why they could have been bounced off the Earth's core and just coming back up. They could have been coming right through the planet and they've just been trapped in these ice samples. They don't know. But the parallel universe thing is just as far off as you could possibly make it. It's just completely off topic. They don't know why this has happened, and they don't know what the test is telling them. They just know it's there. They have not a jar of glue. So,
and when these things tend to come out, we tend to see it's happened. It's like when I first saw it, it was like, wow, parallel universe off the coast of the North Pole. You see headings like that, especially in sort of the more sort of alternative websites. Then they're not so mainstream websites. You're not sort of before it's news types, but places like the Mind Unleashed or something like that, where it's more sort of spirituality, paranormal focused. And you see those sort of headlines. I'm expecting, to go to the North Pole and meet a parallel Jared that likes only likes salads.
Yeah.
And,
who's getting younger.
Yeah. Apparently, who's getting younger.
Yeah, only like salads. Now that would be an alternate universe,
yes,
that would, Jazzy.
Definitely an alternate universe, and he definitely doesn't like the fried potato, 7 fried potatoes from the local kebabi near you. He absolutely hates them. The thing is, though, because it's a parallel universe, those 7 fried potatoes are awful.
Oh, that'd be terrible, wouldn't it?
Yeah. I don't want to live in that
I don't want to go
universe.
there.
No, that's a terrible universe. So this
Get
is...
Elon Musk to shut it down, or Bill Gates, get him to shut it down. They're good with things like that. Just get him, turn it off, for Christ's sake.
So this is... I'm going to read a little bit from Forbes here on this. Okay, it says the concept of a parallel universe has been around for nearly. The concept of a parallel universe has been around since the early 1960s, mostly in the minds of fans of sci-fi TV shows and comics. But now a cosmic ray detection experiment has found particles that could be from a parallel realm, and also born of the Big Bang, the Daily Star reports. Well, being since the last time I literally went up head-to-head with the Daily Star back in 1998, because they reported on a fight at a blind college that I happened to sort of be in at the time, and it was the worst report of a fight I have ever heard in my entire life. Okay, it was a bunch of blind people fighting, but still, right? So this is how credible the Daily Star is. That's what I'm going on now, right?
Who were they fighting?
Each other.
That's I couldn't resist that. Oh Christ! Kick the shit out of the local mannequins in the shop, like oh Christ! Come on. Right, go on, carry on.
So, as the experts use giant balloon to carry NASA's Antarctic Impulsive Transient Antenna, or ANITA, for short.
Oh. I had a nosebleed reading about this article.
Right, okay.
My dyslexia went into meltdown.
Well, this is why I'm here. It says it provided the perfect environment with little to no radio noise to distort the findings. A constant wind, a high energy particle, consistently arrived on the Earth from outer space. Wow. Okay. Low energy subatomic neutrinos with a mass close to zero can pass completely through Earth, but high energy objects are stopped by the solid matter of the planet. So basically, but if it's a gas, or if it's like subatomic, it can pass through it. If it's on a certain frequency, it can pass through. If it's not, slams into it.
Yeah, just stop. But they're trapped in the permafrost. You know, but they come in up.
Right, okay.
They're not going in. They're not going that way. They come in this direction. So they come in from the Earth up.
That means the high energy particles can only be detected coming down from space. But the team's ANITA detected heavier particles, so-called tau neutrinos, which come up out of the Earth. Now, this is the thing, right? Because there's been reports of anomaly between Africa and I think it's South America, where the Earth's magnetic field over the course of the last 3 to 4 years has dramatically shifted, right? And it's causing like absolute havoc with satellites, right? And it's causing it's causing some satellites apparently to fall out of the sky in some cases. I've heard some news reports talk about. And they honestly don't know why the Earth's magnetic field is suddenly doing this, right? Yeah. You know, and like I read an article about this. So it went fairly in depth, and I read another article that read of the reading age of about 4.
Yeah.
I think it was like the Metro or something had reported on it. It was like, one of the things that could possibly happen is a pole reversal, which would be very, very bad. And that's how the article ended. But if you've got like the magnetic poles of the planet are shifted, I'm no scientist yet. I'm just like having a
well, they wouldn't physically swap. They wouldn't like north south north. It couldn't actually do that. It'd just be displacement. So the North Pole might be like 5,000 miles in a different direction, and the Earth would spin a little bit on a different. Don't get me wrong. It'd knock a few paintings off the wall, and you know what I mean. But it wouldn't actually physically flip the poles.
So it's not like 2012 then.
It would be, in the sense it would cause carnage. It would cause earthquakes, tsunamis, volcanoes to really kick off. But it wouldn't actually flip the pole either end. It wouldn't change. It would just replace itself. So like Antarctica, because there's maps of Antarctica going back, a few thousand years when they were drawn as land.
No ice. There's no ice.
Yeah. So the poles were probably in a completely different place, only because ancient buildings. Now they've known this historically, that they did like to line things up.
Yeah.
And some of the buildings where they would have lined them up with constellations are off. And the only way that would be, that wouldn't have been down to the architects, that would be down to the planet itself has shifted.
Well, isn't there some sort of drift? It's like in Stargate, for example. They have some sort of continental drift. It is. So what I was going to ask with it was, could those two things be related?
What two things? What do you mean?
The what they found at the pole and the magnetic field weaknesses.
Well, you love that. I can just imagine now old what's his name, Doppelopoulos, or whatever his name is, from Ancient Aliens, going, does that mean it's coming from the hollow earth? You can just imagine it, can't you?
What is his name?
I don't know. Diplodocus. I haven't got a clue. I don't know.
I thought his name was Giorgio or something.
Giorgio Doppelopoulos. I don't know.
Giorgio Doppelopoulos. Well, right, the world has got to be in a strange place when that guy looks sane.
Well,
no, don't get me wrong. I actually would love to meet the guy. I do like the guy. He actually seems like he just gets so excited about aliens. Yeah.
I know loads of people that can't even watch him, and I think I just could watch him all day. I'm not joking.
And I could.
His excitement. Yeah, his excitement.
It's that sort of boyish. It's that. Yeah. I think it's a British thing, isn't it? It's like, as Brits, we don't kind of like that kind of excitableness, whereas Americans kind of love it in their sort of personalities. With us, we're more kind of stoic, aren't we? We're a bit more we're a bit more
laid back on things,
we're a bit more Derek Trotter and less Sheldon,
Yeah, it's just you'll find you'll find a dome somewhere, and he's like, this is proof, and it's like an upside down bowl. It's just a bowl, but that somebody's dropped. It's not a UFO. You know what I mean? He does go a bit.
It must be aliens.
It must be. I'm saying that, right? And I gotta be honest. I've been watching Ancient Aliens a lot, and there is some actually fascinating stuff that comes off that.
I've noticed as well. I've noticed that lately. It's like there's a lot of crap, but when it's good, it is good. It's intriguing.
I found out today there's no word in our language, in the English language, that derives from any other language for the word dog. That's crazy. I've been watching it was the Dogu from Mali in Africa, and they basically said that these beings came from the sky, and they were called, let me think of this now, the Nomo. And they told them about Sirius A and Sirius B. Now, they knew that there was a Sirius B before astronomers, because it's basically invisible around Sirius. It's a tiny, tiny star. Earth is the size of the Earth. And they knew it spins. They knew how long it takes to go round Sirius A. They knew some serious stuff. And, it's pretty hard to debunk how these people knew this. And then you got Sierra Leone, which is about 12,000 miles away, and they got these people called the Dogon, and they had a similar story, and when they come to Earth with these sky stones, and they found them. It's the only place on Earth these blue rocks exist. And it was like, I was watching it, and it was like, and in the show, it was on about the word dog, because it was, I've got to try and remember this now, it was German was Hund, French was Chien, and Latin was Canis. They were the three words of a dog. And you don't know where the word dog come from. It's bizarre. And the legends of this Dogu and Dogon and different things is all over the world. It's like the same for dragon. The word dragon is a D word on nearly every culture on Earth. And they said these people came from Sirius and taught man, and they went to the sea.
Well, we actually know, right, more about the paranormal probably than we do about dogs.
Well, I just had to research it, and it's an unknown word. And like this mounding island, and I think the guy's name, the god was Dogon, something around that sort of word. But that Dogon is in China, well, Japan, right? That's the name of the royal family there. It's one of the oldest royal families on Earth. And then it's in Africa, it's in Hindu text, it's in here, it's there, and it's all got the same name. Same with dragon, we call it dragon, it's Dragia, Dragolan. There's so many languages that say the same word on different parts of the Earth, and you think, you know, there's so much to it that it is hard to like come up with a different explanation. I mean, how these ancient people in Africa knew about the dog star, Sirius A and Sirius B, there's no explanation for it. There's just no explanation for it.
Well, not in our current mode of thinking, anyway.
Well, no, they can't. They've tried to explain it, and they can't. So there's so many things. I've been looking at there's some fascinating things on it. Well, not ancient aliens, really fascinating.
So what have you been sort of looking at lately? Well, before we go into that, I want to know that you're now in the constituency where conspiracy theorists are causing all manner of... all manner of...
I know. We've killed things. More people than Stalin. I don't know. Right, well, this is a good example. The Daily Star took a story and made a parallel universe where time runs backwards, right?
Yeah.
But apparently, conspiracy nuts, right, as we are killing people in the wrong bit. You can't make it up. What's he on about? How is he? God, he must have woke up and he must have thought, I've got it. We'll take some heat off Dominic Cummings. Conspiracy nuts. We'll have him now. You just can't. It's madness. I gotta be honest, right? Over
the last couple of days, right? And this is why I put this as the title of this show, right? The last couple of days, honest to God, have we lost our minds? Has humanity genuinely lost our minds?
Well, we are genuinely, right? If you look at all this now, we're becoming a bit of a laughing stock, man.
The UK or humanity as a whole?
Well, I can't vouch. I mean, I've been trying to keep a bit of an eye on America because the things that happen in America, because of us being in Brexit, have a bit of a detrimental effect on us, to be perfectly honest with you, because Boris Johnson is literally centipeded Donald Trump. They are, but between the pair of them, they are a human centipede.
Ew.
And yeah, I know, not the best image. But no. He has got his head wedged firmly up. You know what I mean? He's almost like, they could be the Muppets between them. And I've been trying to keep an eye on America. America's gone mad at the moment, right? It's gone balmy. But over here, I don't know if people have just, like, in this quarantine, have taken their brains out and put them on the shelf or something. Like, the things that's been said, I mean, it's hard to put it into words, really. I mean, this thing with Dominic Cummings, and
Well,
I can't fathom the thing with the glasses. You've even got the church, right? I've shared a post on my.
oh
The
no,
church have said.
I've seen it,
He said, "I'd like to say hello" or something,
no,
or tell it.
he says, I wish. Oh my God,
Oh,
Michael.
I wish him well.
Michael Gove. Just reel out Michael Gove whenever you want someone. I think that guy is like a compulsive liar, right? And literally just needs to lie. As literally, I think it's like, honest to God, like this is comical alley levels of like shit going on here. This is like literally like comical alley levels of subversion. So just if it wasn't so terrifying, what's happening? And this is what got my back up. Okay, is I was seeing the protests in London a couple of weeks ago, and I was seeing people saying, "Send the army in, lock them up, and throw away the key," right? And then I'm seeing, like, Boris wants to get kids back in school, and people say, well, not until the MPs go into Parliament, right?
Yeah.
So, which is fair enough. I can understand. If I see that, not like socially distanced Parliament now. If I see a Parliament rammed, like when they're going to vote on their own pay rise, for example, right? Then, I might consider being safe for, kids to go back to school. Safe to start doing the economy and whatnot, right? Let's play their own game against them, yeah? Right? But in the midst of stay at home, protect their trash, save lives, right? The Prime Minister's chief advisor on the 27th of March, Boris Johnson goes down with Covid-19. You see Dominic Cummings literally legging it out of 10 Downing Street.
Mm.
And he is like, everyone's like, how is the Prime Minister, Mr. Cummings? He's like, bugger off! Kind of thing. He's off.
Well,
and suddenly his wife now comes down with Covid-19, right? And then suddenly she's better. Or she was very ill and then suddenly she's better. So he comes back to work. And after going back to work, he goes back to his house and goes, right, love, we're off. Drives 260 miles to Durham on the 28th of March, I think it is. And after 2 weeks of isolation, so the reason he's gone down to Durham is because he believes that he should go to his parents so his kids can have childcare. Now, bear in mind now, you've got 68 million people on lockdown. People are missing funerals, they're missing births. You've got people dying in hospital alone. You've got people who have got terminal fucking illnesses, literally just like sitting there in their house on their frigging own. God knows how many people died of that, and the death certificate probably means Covid-19 now anyway. Right?
Yeah.
In the midst of all this, you have...
Well, I gotta be honest though, my favourite bit was him coming down the steps. The press are outside his house in literally droves, shoulder to shoulder, and he's going, social distance. Social distance.
That was a few months ago, that was.
Oh, was it? I missed the report I've seen.
No.
And it's just like, you can't make it up. I mean, you can't. I mean, the fact his excuse with the glasses.
Well, it was the day before his wife's birthday. They go to a beauty spot in Barnard Castle to test his eyesight. No, but people. I got people commenting on some of my stuff on social media saying, "Well, it's a symptom of COVID-19." Well, I on a second now, right? If you've got a problem with your eyesight, the last thing you want to be doing is driving a bloody car.
But you didn't tell your family in it. I gotta be honest. It's a joke. But the thing is, this is the thing I think people are just skipping over. If he's in the government, right, and he's one of the guys that put us in lockdown, who advised the government on lockdown and everything, and he's not adhering to it, and I mean to the level he went to, then it's a lie, right? You've got this local MP saying about conspiracy theorists in the Rhondda. The media have probably killed more people than this virus, right? With the fear factor they put out there, and the government might have had a bit of an hand in it,
Yeah.
right? With the lies, I mean, people have taken their own lives through this, right?
Yeah.
You've got people who haven't been at their normal treatments in the NHS, right?
Yeah.
You've got there's so many things, right? They can't get they've got cancer patients
Well,
their
Italy are
treatment's been
coming out.
cancelled.
Italy are coming out now, right? In I can't remember the place now where they had the biggest outbreak. Belize or something like that it's called. I can't remember the name now off the top of my head, because I literally seen it in passing earlier today. They're coming out now in their press and saying that they had cases of COVID-19 back as far as October of last year.
Yeah.
Right, are you talking about this MP that's basically turned around and said about conspiracy theorists in the Rhondda, right? He put a post up on... Now, I've been following him for the last couple of months. Oh, he's been like a friggin' hall monitor, but...
It's not the same one that told everybody on the internet that their houses were empty, but after the floods and they all got robbed, is it? It's not him.
I don't know which one that is, but you'll have to let me know.
All right.
You'll have to give me the name, because I don't know.
No, when we had the floods, he put it on social media, these houses are empty. So they all turned up and robbed them. What a prank.
No, I haven't heard that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, this is Chris Bryant, MP for the Rhondda, right? Now, he's been putting up, messages, stay at home in Wales, this is, pictures of beaches, and the fact that English beaches are crowded and Welsh beaches are not. The guy's genuinely clueless, right? He's genuinely clueless, right? He's not lying. He's genuinely clueless.
Yeah,
he put a video up, right, about this conspiracy theory thing a couple of weeks ago, right? And he said, well, one of the conspiracy theories is COVID-19 has been around since last October. And even half the people in his own constituency were like, well, I was really ill last October. The mainstream media are saying this. People posting clips from Sky News that said, different media outlets around the world. And the point I made is if information is readily available in an easy to understand format, right? And this is the point I made, was they say it's got the highest death rate per 100,000. Right, we live in a valley, typically called the Long Street, right? Because of its old coal mining valleys, right? From its coal mining routes, you basically have essentially a long street from Pontypridd up as far as Blaen Rhondda and Blaencwm, right? You have different offshoots, things like Clydach Park, that sort of thing, right? There is 46,000, or at least there was 46,000 people in the Rhondda alone. Now, I know obviously the stats are for Rhondda, Cyn and Taff, which is for the Aberdare Valley and the valley of which you were in, which is the Pontypridd, the Taff Valley, right?
Yeah.
But it doesn't take into account the fact that, A, it's an ageing population, right? Because most people don't go to the valley. There's no jobs in the valleys.
No.
So people either travel to Cardiff, right? An hour a day on a train, or they travel elsewhere, or they don't work, right? It's probably one of the highest benefit areas because, after the miners' strike, the heart and soul of the valleys has been stripped out. I'm not going to go into all this, but yeah, even with what's happened with regeneration of the valleys has been an abysmal, shocking, absolutely downright disgrace, right? Of which said
MP but that is a lot. That is a lot to do with our own Welsh Parliament.
Yeah, that's got a lot to do with our own Welsh Parliament, and it's got a lot to do with Westminster as well. It's got a lot to do with the pair of that. It is. And at the end of the day, you look at the population, right? and you say a lot of it is an older population. A lot of people there will have underlying health conditions. A lot more than Cardiff, in a sense. Even though Cardiff's got a higher population, you know, it's a lower, it's less of an area. I would assume at least it is, because obviously you've got 26 miles from, you know, Pontyclun is part of Rhondda Cynon Taf. That's 20 mile away from me here.
Yeah.
Whereas I could literally walk across Cardiff in a day. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah,
I would say it's to actually say conspiracy theorists are to blame. It's ridiculous.
I know, but I know.
You know,
it is. This is the thing. It has been. I started. If there's a video on this channel of me about 8-9 weeks ago, and I was pretty ill, and I was pretty freaked out, and it lasted about 2 weeks, right? Because I honestly, as everybody else did, believed the hype, right? But in that process, I was thinking, how was it? In that 2 week process, I was starting to think, well, I knew a lot of people that had pneumonia just around Christmas, and I mean a lot. A few of my friends were coughing up blood, for Christ's sake, right? I had the speed this thing had supposedly travelled.
That's mad. Sorry, Rich, but you actually had synchronicity around that, because you had two friends call you within the same hour of a day.
Same hour.
Yeah.
One had blood. Yeah, one was coughing up blood, and they were freaking out, which anybody would. You cough up blood. I know. I smoked. If I coughed up blood, I'd shot myself. You know what I mean? I would. But my other mate then had exactly the same thing with the same hour, and I kept hearing these stories before COVID-19 broke about people having these pneumonia type symptoms, and they were really ill. It took them, we're talking months to get over this.
Yeah.
Over the Christmas period, months. It wasn't like a couple of weeks, months, right? And I had that in my head, but for that 2 weeks, I was like, oh my God, what's gonna happen? And then all of a sudden, the statistics started coming out, and you had the vaccine talk was within weeks, and I was thinking, oh, you are joking me. And then the story has just been, you just can't believe what the mainstream is telling him, right? You can't believe the rules they've had in place for Boris. If you look at his January the 3rd speech, right? When I saw that, I was like, are you joking? You've looked at the media, I've looked at the world news, and they've all had different stories on where this has broke out, right? And how this has come about. You've had the maths has just been unbelievable on some of these points of this outbreak. Have just been mind bending, right? I have literally been looking at the telly going, please somebody just, you know. And they're standing next to other so-called experts, and they're throwing this out there. Then you've got them turning around and saying, well, actually, it's only 1% of 1% of 1% of 1% might actually die. So why did we, you know, what, if you knew about this last year, which they did, the NHS have admitted they knew about this last year, what was the process over Christmas that made you go into this meltdown to now turning it back round, because obviously the economy has had an arse slapping? And it just, I'm sorry, and I'll say this to anyone, and I will say this to anyone, if what you're looking at and you're expecting to be the truth is blatantly lying, right, which it is blatant,
yeah,
then you're going to look elsewhere. You're going to look at alternative, because if they're making up stuff, and I mean making up stuff, like the 2 meter rule is made up, right? There is no scientific basis for the 2 meter distance on planet Earth. When you take a breath outside, just if you sigh, that can travel up to 15 to 17 foot. If you sneeze, we're talking 20 odd foot. Coughing the same, right? So 2 meters, 6 foot apart, has no basis in science at all, right? It's balmy. So just based on that fact, where do they come in? It's just balmy. It just makes no sense. And people who see them, sheeple like all them, they just doing it. They're not asking questions. They're going, oh, I've had people on my Facebook saying,
I think it was
Dominic
Brian
Cummings.
Yeah, oh, we should just let it go. We should just
let it go. Let it go. Are you mad? Not a chance. I'm not. Once this comes out, and I hope, right, the people start saying,
well, this is the
I
thing,
want answers
Ben.
for this.
This is the thing, right? It's one thing, right, and try actually waking up and realizing this is happening to a nation, to a planet. A planet of people, right?
Yeah.
That's another thing, actually understanding we've allowed it.
Well, I mean, the president of Tanzania sending off engine oil and pow fruit and goat blood, and it's coming back positive, like, and it's like, it's weird because you've got the likes of Ike and different things that's been taken off YouTube, right? And Brian Rose. But some of the stuff that's on YouTube at the moment, I can't even. I know I don't want to talk about it, right? Because that's up to people to look at it. But I can't get my head round how they're still on YouTube for the things they're saying.
Do you want to give any sort of insight at all as to what sort of stuff isn't on there, or do you just want to leave it there?
Well, it's all about this Epstein, right, and who he's pointed at, and Pizzagate and all this, right, and they're on about different celebrities that are involved in this role, and the evidence for what they're saying is berserk, right? It is mental. I've been an investigator for 20 years, right, and the stuff they're coming up with is bonkers. And if there genuinely was credence to what they're saying,
elaborate. Do you mean bonkers as in it's good evidence or bad evidence?
Bad. I mean, ridiculous evidence, right? It's like...
So the evidence doesn't hold the weight of the accusation, then?
Absolutely not even close, right? And there's some stuff, this little thing, but nobody's taking it. This is what I mean. YouTube are not dealing with it. And it's massive. It's massive, right? It's a world... It's bigger than Covid-19. It's a world-changing event, and YouTube are not even addressed, but they're taking the likes of David Icke and Brian Rose down. And I'm starting to find it a little bit suspicious, right? And well, I don't want to give it any credence, because if it is true, what these people are talking about, these different things on YouTube, then you should keep your nose out of it. Because if it is going on, you're ballsing it up for people. Right? So just leave it alone. Just leave it alone until it comes out, or until it's done, until the problem is solved. Just keep your nose out of it, right? And if you're wrong, and this is how I feel, if what you've said on the basis of what you're showing as evidence, and if you're wrong, I hope you get in trouble for it. I really do hope you get in severe trouble for it. And if it's right, I hope the person you're talking about gets in severe trouble for it. I hope they never see the light of day. But just YouTube are not dealing with it, and it's puzzling me. It's like disclosure's been happening since we've been in this lockdown. We're being drip fed disclosure, right? With the secret of Skinwalker Ranch, right? And they're showing that now on like Discovery History and these channels. And slowly but surely, disclosure is being drip fed to the public. And it's little things like that I'm finding a bit suspicious. You know what I mean? It's, how can it be? We've said, I've taken videos and we've had people send us videos. I filmed something a couple of months back out my back, And you can be ridiculed for that.
Yeah.
But then the government can put it on mainstream telly, and it's just absolutely nothing. It's just like normal.
Yeah.
It's like nobody batted an eyelid at it.
Yeah.
You know, you had the likes of Piers Morgan talking about it. You know,
BBC News 24, like talking about the Pentagon release of, you know, that sort, you know, that information.
but if you question, pardon me, if you question the government on COVID, oh, you're terrible. You're terrible, right? If you question, it's like, it is almost like, and this is the only way you can see it, they are trying to take our rights away.
Mm.
They are trying to take, they can say it, but we can't. They can say stuff, they can make stuff up, we can't. They can lie, we can't. They can break the rules, but we can't. And I'm sorry, that is a complete class divide. That is creating something that is dangerous, and it is going to cause no end of problems on this planet. Right? It really is. And it you know, and that is happening in this world, and it's happened through history. History is bullshit. The things we think we've been told, to the truth of it, you know, who's the guy that wrote the book, The Chariot of Gods, The Chariots of the Gods? I can never remember his name.
I can never remember his name either.
Well, it was a NASA, one of the NASA bosses tried to discredit him, right? And he looked into, so that, I can't think of his blinking name, skip me. So he sent him
Eric von Daniken.
Eric von Daniken. So Eric von Daniken sent this NASA official Ezekiel, right? And Ezekiel's wheel, right? And in the end, he bigged his book up. Because after reading it and looking at it as an engineer, he said, well, and he ended up backing his book up. And that was just one instance. And that's, you know, that there's so much, it is so much covered up in this world. And just on that principle, tells you why would now, all of a sudden in this COVID, would they be telling the truth? When so much of this world's history has been manipulated and covered up.
Exactly.
And, you know, you've got to see it, man. People have got to start seeing it. They've got to, like. Otherwise, we're just going to get stuck on it. We're going to be like hamsters on a wheel.
Well, that's basically what we are, but that's basically what's happening. And people will. The problem is, you've got three types of people. You've got people who will never see it, right? They just like literally tell me what to do, right?
Yeah.
You've got people who will see it, but because their mates don't see it, to me they're the worst type, because they're the ones who won't stand up. They'll just go along with the crowd, even knowing there's problems. That to me is the worst type, because the fact you know about it and you are allowing it to happen is that's no. That's a no. Do you know what I mean? That's to me, that's a no.
Well, that's always happened to me. I mean, I've worked in, like I've said before on the show, I've worked in so many jobs where I have been, well, I've lost. I've lost so many jobs, I should say. I'm speaking out, right? Because there's one, I can't take it. I can't deal with it. And even worse now, since what happened to me with RCT, it's worse, right? I will for the rest of my life struggle with any kind of authority. Because in that position, I've seen people do some pretty selfish shit, right? And I know I am. And I can't, I'd be lying if I said otherwise. And you'd be surprised what people will just accept in a position, in a job position, like.
Yeah.
You know, they will accept it. And, you know, there's so many experiments have been done on things like this. They will just accept it. And they won't question it, and they'll just go along with it, because everybody else is going along with it, and it's like I've noticed it. If I swear on Facebook, right, somebody put a post up about this app, this tracking NHS tracking app, or whatever the Christ it is, tracking. I don't know what they've named it, right? They've come up with some track and trace or something, right? And I thought, aye. So I wrote, aye, you can F off, right? And I noticed then somebody said, yeah, F off. And yeah, go on, F off. And it's like they want that. It's everybody's waiting for that person to be the voice.
Yeah.
And then it's like you get the opposite then. You get the people that go against that voice then because they think it's silly, because somebody's told them it's silly.
And that's the problem. Is you know it's the pride thing, and this is the hard thing. It's like you take someone like David Icke, for example, right? Half the people, if not more, who follow David Icke are doing the same thing with David Icke that people who watch the mainstream media are doing with the mainstream media. It's you get that sense of protection from listening to and reinforcing a belief system. The hard thing to literally do is stand at the precipice, look at all sides, look what that person's saying, that person's saying, that person's saying, that person's saying, and basically you can only give then your opinion. And that's what's so wrong, is that, you know, people don't remember who they are. And that's what it boils down to, but it boils down to this. You know, it boils down to the fact that people don't remember who they are. It boils down to the fact that we don't remember our history. It boils down to the fact that, like, literally we are born into a world and we are conditioned by that world from birth up until pretty much death, unless there's some sort of intervention. And it boils down to the fact that we are looking for someone to blame, because pride cometh before a fall. And until we actually understand those mechanisms and those trappings within ourselves. I had an experience last week where I was just getting a battering because I was speaking out about how I was feeling, and I was getting a battering off people from all angles. And I stood there and I thought to myself after a while, I thought, what the hell is going on here? And I realised that my fear was being reflected back at me. Now, most people were fearing the virus. What I'm fearing is our rights being taken away and this world being created full of social distancing. And in one sense, I've got every bloody right to fear that world, because being someone who is partially blind, you know, living in a world where people are constantly afraid of being touched, constantly being afraid of any sort of like interaction. Well, 50% of the way I operate around the world is through touch and physical interaction. The other 50% is through what I fucking hear. So that's taking away what basically, you know, independence I have. So, you know, there's a lot of fear coming out of there. And once I realised that, and I realised that is what was driving my actions, it kind of gave way. Yeah. And that's the thing. The hardest argument to have is with yourself. You know, and now it's getting to the part. I was seeing just before I came on here, I was seeing Boris Johnson answering questions from the media about Dominic Cummings again, and it's now getting to the point where it sounds just so ridiculous that, like, you know, like that what we brought up today with Michael Gove, where a bishop asks him, you know, as a father, what am I supposed to tell my own children? Because I have basically kept them in my house for the last 8 weeks, and they've just noticed that someone else on TV took their kids 300 miles across country.
Well, I'm going to go to the beach, right, on the weekend. Right. I'm going to go to the beach on the weekend, and if I get stopped by the police, I'm going to tell them that I am testing my new sunglasses, right?
Can you please take me for one?
I will. I'll record it. I'll put it on the dash cam. I will go live on Facebook. I'm going to record. I'm going to tell them that I'm testing my new sunglasses that I bought off the internet, and I need to go. This is a serious test. And if they try and find me or anything, right, I'm not lying. They will be murders, right? Just to be a prick, just to make an example of something. That's what I'm going to do, right? That's how I feel about it, right? That's how it's made me feel. This whole incident has made me feel like that. This is the point I've come to where it is just, and it's not affected me in a great deal because I've kind of, I've enjoyed it really. We've decorated, we've come together, we've had some nice stuff, and it's just been nice for me. I gotta be honest, it hasn't affected my life. First time I went to Tesco's, it was like I said, it was like a zombie apocalypse, right? I walked around there and people were picking things up and putting them back down and touching this and like in the veg aisle at Tesco's, half the veggies and in packets, and I was like, oh my god, I nearly just lost my mind. And I did have a bit of a mentee in Iceland because obviously Iceland, there was no coordination at all. It was just a free-for-all. Just go in there and grab what you can and pay for it. But it's, I don't know. I've seen things. I've lived in a world as me, and I have seen people do some pretty crazy stuff over books that were written a long time ago, because they've read it and they think it's their right to enforce that on other people. I've seen lies upon lies come from the people we put in charge to make sure our world runs correctly, and they have taken that privilege and that power and they have done some nasty things with it, right? I've seen people just in general be quite cruel to other people, and I mean, I'm not talking cruelty now, over a long period of time. I've been quite selfish, and I don't know, to be honest with you. You look at education and we look at all the systems we have in place, and they're so flawed. They are so flawed. I mean, across the board, they're flawed, right? It's just, if you look at pharmaceuticals, if you read the leaflet on just your average tablets, they cause more harm than what you've actually gone for, and that's fact. Mm-hmm. Right, when herbal and alternatives, and you have things like, you've seen it, right? It's that kid who was on this morning who had terminal cancer, and his mother snuck it into the hospital. She would have gone to prison for saving her son's life.
Well, look at David
by giving him cannabis. Yeah, giving him cannabis. The kid just made a over 2 weeks of being the poor kid, an 11-year-old kid, as designed his own funeral, right? Which you can't fathom, of being an 11-year-old kid, to being completely cancer-free because of a herb, and his mother could have gone to jail for it. The hospital wouldn't look at that type of treatment. You don't need to know anything else about the world, right? That's enough. That's enough to tell you that the system of our world is just horseshit. It's mental. You can't get your head around it because it boils down to money. Because that doctor gets paid. They've been paid to say this person had COVID. They get paid to sell this drug. Your local doctor. But your local doctor gets money for giving you a certain type of tablet.
I just want to say something here, right? Something's just come, as you're saying this, something's tweaked into my head, right? I actually feel bad for people who are going to be waking up at this time now. I actually think, in a sense, we were the lucky ones. Because I'm looking at it, and for people, I could imagine certain friends of mine or people in my family or whatever who don't really have this sort of this sort of viewpoint that we've come from, right? We might be listening to this neither now or at a future date when looking back over it or whatever. And I think, I don't know, I feel it's hard. It was hard enough going through it, back 2008 to 2015, really. 2008 till now, pretty much, but. It was hard enough going through the last 10 years, but having to actually go through and realise this now. It's a hell of a rude awakening,
Well, I mean, no, not really. If you look at, I think the thing is, right, it's easy in the world we live in now to take things for granted, right? And it really is, like, because we're so separate. We've been made so separate from each other. Like, things that happen in a far off country, you can look at them and just carry on living your life because they don't directly affect you. You don't realize they directly affect you.
Yeah.
Right? But you don't realize that all the things you're privileged to, this is why our world, this is why other cultures in the world see us as such a bad thing, right? Because you don't, you look at history, like you going through a world war, for example, right? And coming before that, before there was real medicines and, antibiotics and different things, right? Even though we made it without these things, and we did, we had different set mindsets, right? We were stronger and braver, and we could climatize a lot differently than we could now. Like with technology, if all phones, if there was a massive EMP tomorrow, right, the sun just went boop, and all technology just ceased to exist on planet Earth, right? It would take a lot for people to realize that they can manage without it. Like we used to when I was a kid. If I wanted to go and see someone, I had to go and see someone. If I wanted to talk to someone, I had to go and talk to them. You know what I mean? I had to physically create that situation, like, you know what I mean? And it's like technology. They want to bring in faster technology, better technology, more powerful, when we're not ready for it.
No, I don't think
You
we
know,
are.
we're not ready for it
We're
as a
not.
species.
As a species, no,
We are
we are not.
we are children.
That's the
Yeah,
argument I make for 5G. Is I
yeah,
don't give a fuck. I can't talk to you about all these different things about what I could do with you and the bit rates and all the rest. I got technology people that are close to me whose opinions I trust that say,
yeah.
oh, that's a load of shit. I've got people whose opinions I also trust saying, no, it's very dangerous. The one point I can argue is the fact, like you just said, we are not ready for it.
We're not.
We're not ready for, like, being able to have that kind of power over another person or over. We still haven't really got into our heads that intelligence is not what makes us.
Well, a good example, right? We've said about the ghost box,
Yeah.
right?
Okay.
I believe in my heart we are on the boundary of knowing what's on the other side of existence, right?
Yeah.
Of what's on the other side of life. We are like so close, but but yet we're so far away, right? That technology is there, and I think it's being held back,
I agree.
right?
Yeah.
I do believe Spirit is holding it back.
Well, there's
It's
a
like,
video that I'm going to be putting out in the next week about that because of what happened the other day during a session. Go and carry on.
yeah,
Sorry, I didn't mean to
yeah.
cut you off.
No. I just think, we can't, there's still racism, right? There's still prejudice, right? There's still fighting over books, for Christ's sake, because they think that God is telling the truth but that no, it's that God instead. There's still that. You still have people that taking the technology we have now and using it, genuinely using it against us. Facebook uses that technology, right, in some really dark ways. Just Facebook, right? And there's quite a few people on Facebook. And Elon Musk wants to give the internet to the planet, right? And, it's the same with the ghost box. I believe they will turn it into a weapon or something
Yeah.
or use it against us, right? And because they've done it with Facebook, they've done it with YouTube, they've done it with all these different social media outlets. They do it with the media itself. They turn it against you. They lie. They make up stuff. They use false news. So going beyond that, what's it going to do to us? There's so much. There's so much that we need to do before that, right? We need to learn to, harness the natural things of this planet, the natural ether, the electricity that this planet creates every day. You know, like Tesla did. You know, and we need to like learn about nature and how we are like almost symbionts with it. You know how important these other beings are, and we need to learn about our own health, our own minds, our own spirituality. You know, real history. There's so much we need before we need technology. There's so much. And it's the only reason it's jumping so fast is because of the money behind it. Because telecommunications now is bigger than anything that's ever been. It's bigger than oil ever was. It's bigger than everything. You know, and money it is. You know, you said it in history, it's the root of all evil. It is. There's no getting out of it. This COVID thing has proven it. It has opened the world up. It's been Pandora's box, this COVID-19. And it's shown the world for every failure there's ever been. All of it, the system of it, money.
It's shown it from a local level to a national level, to an international, to a global level.
It's shown how dangerous the media can be. It shows us how incompetent our leaders are. It's shown us how dependent we are on this system. Right? It's shown us it's just shown so much of these things that's been put in place. And the only reason that I can fathom they've been put in place is to make people rich, is to make people money and give people power. And it's just, you know, it all needs to, we need a reset button. And I hope whatever has the power to decide if that's what's needed, that it doesn't have to be everyone must die for that, and it resets and puts another species on this planet. I hope it doesn't come to that extreme. I hope it's like it can reset the world for us alive now, when we can create a world for the future, that the future won't have to go through any of this. They'll never have to know hunger. They'll never have to know poverty or pain or what it's like to be a child dying of a disease because people with the cures won't put them out there because there's no money in it. You know, everything. There's so much that we can be. This world could be. It is meant to be paradise. It is. You know, life is supposed to be. And it doesn't take it away, and we don't need all these little things that it won't be, you know, I've said this 1,000 times, it won't be boring, we won't be all walking around like robots, it'll be exactly the same as it is. There'll still be pubs and punch-ups and that, but they won't be like genocides or people killing each other over religions or governments.
You can still have your phone, like, you know, on Facebook.
Yeah, you can still have your technology, you can still, but just, you don't have to have it to the point they want it. You know, we're social creatures, like, we need the company of others. That's our design. That's how we create new life. You know, otherwise we'd have no stories to tell. You know, what's it going to be like in 20 years, Gwen? Oh, I remember this one time I said this thing on Facebook. Oh, I tell you what. You know, is that going to be your story?
Well,
you know?
It's been 10 years now, but it's been 10 years since... You know, 10 years ago, we didn't have we didn't really have that many smartphones. It's only been well, the iPhone came out in 2008, but that's only 12 years ago.
Yeah.
12 years ago, we didn't have smartphones.
It's crazy.
It is.
It's bonkers to what it is now. Like, there's so much. You know, it's like you know, I started the paranormal without as much technology as we have now, and yet technology has benefited the paranormal, right? It's increased it and shown it.
Yeah. You
know, but it's not technology. It's just the basics. You know, and I believe that for a reason. I've said this. That's why it's only 95%. I believe it. You know,
what's that now?
It's just, well, just anything you do in regards to the paranormal,
Yeah.
I've always said there'll always be that little 5% where you go, could that be something? Or I've done it myself for years.
This is the thing, right? But it's like, you know, I might look back at this now. In for some reason, I've got a vibe of me looking back at this now. You know, looking back a bit. Sometime to come. But I've been told stuff by that ghost box that has come true. I've been told stuff by that ghost box that I cannot ever see coming true. I can't.
Yeah.
And that's not to say it won't happen. It's to say that I just can't put myself in that place. I can't see that place. From where I am at the moment, I cannot see that place. And I don't know what it would take for that to come about. Do you know what I mean? For what? I don't know what it means. I don't understand why I've been told certain things. Because probably more than anyone else in our research, it has actually been me that's been told certain things, right? So half of them I don't know. I like there's certain stuff in there that's like it's reminded me of stuff. There was like one about a knock on the door the other day, and it was referenced in when it was done 3 years ago, and it was referenced in the session I done literally the last one, which I'm going to put out as a video now in the next couple of days, right? And I was like, I remembered what the knock on the door was referring to, because it's like there's unless you knew me, you wouldn't know what half those references meant, right? But because that person who's speaking to us, i.e. my brother, knows me, they could mean nothing else, if that makes sense. But all you have to do is be able to know me, to know what that says. So I don't know if that's my brother. I don't know if it's me. For some reason, there's some messed up part of me that's like creating it, that wants it to be true for some reason. That's I've tried everything. I have looked at myself. I've gone, you know, is there been a point in my life where I was that traumatized, where this is actually now manifesting through these Now Investigations? I am hearing it say these things that other people can't hear. You know, I am really asking myself these questions, and I'm like, it's got to the point where, no, it doesn't matter, because it does matter, but it's like you have to detach yourself away from it, and you have to sort of take that place and go, yeah, this could potentially, this is what I think it is, this is what I feel in my heart it is, but I've got to not be personally attached to this, because if I am and I get it wrong, I've invalidated the resource. I've invalidated the research. So until, you know, this is what I've said to you before, it's like, would we have gone down the road of exploring things like Penturk, exploring these different UFO sightings that have been happening, had you not had that message back in November and you not seen that object outside your house?
Yeah.
You know, and where's that? You know, that's the crazy thing. It's like, where's that going to lead? In order for me to understand certain things that is said is going to happen, I'd have to understand it from maybe 3 or 4 or 5 other different people's points of view. Yeah. And that's to get a hand. It's like I sent one to you. It was like 15. He was like, yeah, but it's quite a long one. I was like, that's nothing, but the amount of sessions that we have done, I would probably be going through that for the next maybe 5 years, because it's that many, it's that and it's that intricate, and this will only form the basis of this research. You know, people think, oh, like we said, as someone said to us the other day, oh, it's all in riddles. Well, yeah, it's because we're only scratching the tip of the iceberg at the moment, and
yeah, you know, it's in riddles on purpose. Because if it was crystal clear, some dickhead in the military or some. They just would. You know it. You just know it. There's no good arguing about that. That's fact.
Yeah.
Right? They would weaponize it before you know it, and God knows what would happen.
Exactly. You know, do you think there'll come a time where we'll be able to understand it, but?
In what regards?
Do you think there'll come a time where, you know, we get a handle on it? Because at the moment it seems still very difficult to get a handle on. It's like
I don't think we are supposed to.
I'm talking in our lifetime now. Like, you know, maybe 20, 30 years from now, or
I don't think it's about understanding what it's saying. I think it's more understanding why it's saying it. And why it's saying it in the way it's saying it. Right?
Yeah.
And I think that's a bigger question than what it is in completion. I think that's the question. You know, I've got stories.
Is that just a cop out for not like analysing all the sessions that we've done?
No, I knew
joking.
it was. No, it is too much. This is why when we started it, I said, I was analysing. That's what people think. See, they think it's just going there, doing the recordings, but you forget you've got to listen to them back. And it's always been the same. It's always taken months and months and months because there's a backlog. And I knew it would be, a monumental task, right? Because we did the Now Investigations for too long. But in hindsight, they've given us messages that we've needed for right now at different stages of this journey.
Yeah.
Right? But it was just going to be too long. Right? And one day in the future, it'll be like, somebody else's theory from the past. We understand it now. It's like the Indian kid who did all the mathematics. He did mathematics. Nobody understood at the time, but they're being understood now.
Yeah.
That's
precisely the point I was trying to make.
Yeah. We might not understand. I understand it. I don't want to sound big-headed. I understand it because only through the conversations I had through meditation.
But you understand the bits that relate to you. You don't necessarily understand the bits that maybe relate to me or relate to other people.
Oh no, I understand. No, I don't understand. No, because I haven't heard the things that relate to you.
Yeah, we've heard quite a few of them now, I think.
Yeah, but not all of them. I mean, understanding what it means to receive that message and why it's obscure as it is. I understand that. I understood that through meditation. They told me that there's a line. I come to the line, and you can cross it through meditation, but you're still taking it on faith.
But when they're talking about the past, they are actually quite clear. So if something has happened, the messages can be quite clear. It's like the Heaven's Gate one that we had. Hale Bopp killed them, 39 dead, Heaven's Gate. That is a set of 4 responses there that's undeniable.
Yeah, but what was the reference for?
The reference was for that certain spiritual knowledge is actually for this. That certain knowledge can only be understood properly when we've got the consciousness ready enough to deal with it.
You understand it?
Yeah, it's like if you look at the knowledge that led to all those deaths to Heaven's Gate, it's very similar to New Age knowledge now. It's about spiritual awakening, ETs are involved, blah, 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 blah. It's just the fact that it was wielded by a madman who had daddy issues that ended up killing 39 people, or convincing 39 people to kill themselves, or creating a paradigm where is that how they were meant to go? Because they actually did it voluntarily.
This alternative answers.
Yes, that created that kind of... It created almost like... It's like truth. I wanted to do with some of the responses we've done from the one I sent you the other day. I want to do a video about truth, because truth, in a sense, is a subjective thing. it depends. Truth depends for each person. Truth is a solid, so truth is a singularity, but we can't grab that singularity. We can't hold that singularity. We can only observe it, and therefore our understanding of that truth comes from different points of view. It's like, and the analogy I would give you is if me and you were sat in a bar and we see one boy sat having a drink, another boy comes in and punches him in the face and just hits hell out of him, and a fight erupts, and someone says to us later, well, the guy came into the bar, just hit hell out of this other guy who was uncalled for. So we'd think that the guy sitting in the bar minding his own business was the victim, until we found out that he basically murdered that guy's mother the night before last. So truth is dependent on where you are in that situation, that you have to be almost, in a sense, like subjective from it. You need to take yourself out of that situation until you actually know 100% or within a good margin for error that what you were saying happened. It's exactly the same with this COVID-19. It's like, until you know 100% what is happening, you can't say for certain. It's like you can't say for certain there is no virus. I'm not saying that that's what you're saying. I'm just saying that people who say that are wrong. For the simple fact is that are they saying that after talking to people out of Western General Hospital that's shut its doors at the moment to any new patients, for example? Are they talking to the people who have been making TikTok videos dancing as nurses, for example? It's almost like we are being given at the moment a moving target. And it's almost like, it's even this Dominic Cummings back, right? What I thought was quite telling about Dominic Cummings was you had Alistair, who was him? Tony Blair's aide, Alistair, I can't remember his surname now, off the top of my bloody, Anyway, one of Tony Blair's aides on This Morning, and he is saying that in Downing Street is a cabal of people that do not have the best interests of the public at heart, that are lying to the people for their own means. Yeah. And then they brought in some other guy from LBC Radio who said, yeah, well, it's all well and good you saying that, and I agree with it, but when you were in office and you were Tony Blair's aide, we had another issue where the government were lying to the people. It was called weapons of mass destruction in Iraq. Yeah. So what was happening there, Alistair? So this is the thing. It's almost like a controlled opposition coming out. The way the Labour Party is now coming up against this is almost like controlled opposition to it. So what's happening? Why is this thing with Dominic Cummings happening now? Is he that stupid or that arrogant to think that wouldn't come out?
I'm going to say this. I have very, very, very rarely in my life ever met anyone that doesn't adhere to ego. And that ego is selfish, right?
Yeah. And
to put others before yourself in a random array of situations. I've got to be honest, but I've rarely seen it. And that is a global thing, right? That is a worldly thing. That's a humanistic thing, right? And it's why you get factions, like you get feminists and you get this and you get that, right? Because people are innately self-absorbed when they exist in this world. And to go beyond the world, beyond the self, is going to be a big deal. And
but this is the thing, Obat, right? In a sense, all those people locking down did actually do an unselfish act.
No. I would have said the majority was self-preservation. That's why the hospital's so quiet. They didn't want to go, even though they were bad, they didn't want to go to the hospital because they were fearful. And You know, it's the same way people adhere to the queues because they think that smart people have told them that staying 2 meters apart will save their life. It's why people wear, you look at the majority of the people, like I've been shopping a lot, and I've seen a lot of people that don't give a shit. No gloves, no masks. I'm just thinking, and they're probably the people that's thinking this is all bollocks. But you will have a large amount of people that will adhere to stuff like that through self-preservation means. And most psychologists will probably tell you that. You will have the majority who will think, protect the NHS, but if you listen to how they react to others, that tells you what they're thinking.
Yeah. And
because if they say,
example,
shoot, yeah, if they say they all want to be bloody shot by the army, or they want to be locked up, or they want to, because they're thinking of how they affect you. Right? And it's easy to turn a blind. This is the thing, right? This is where it's hypocritical, because you'll see things on telly like Charities, or you'll see people homeless, and you go, oh, or you'll see people who have a drug addiction, and you go, oh, and you look down at them, right? Or you see different things, and you go, oh. I watch for that reaction, right? That's just my nature, right? Because that tells me a lot about how that person will react in a wide range of scenarios. So, you know, there's a lot of psychology going on. Like you said, you know, you've read Sage. I haven't got around to reading it, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Because it just winds me up. It just stresses me out and winds me up. But there's a lot of that going on, and you can see that through the responses on. It's a good example was you had Major Tom walking around his house, you know, skipping onto 100, right? And he was walking around his house to raise money for the NHS. And then you had the likes of the singer, what is his name? It escapes me, but he was crying on Facebook, right? I can't think of his name, but he is, he's gay. He's out as gay. Like, I can't bloody think of his name now. He done the James Bond theme song. If anybody's on our chat, write it down for Christ's sake. But he was crying, and the comments he had, because he was crying, right? And there were some nasty comments, but somebody called him a freak of nature, or a lab experiment, and there was some really nasty, shitty comments just because the boy freaked out, right? That's all you need to know. If you look at nothing else, you look at them people, and you'll see where the problem of this planet lies. You look at that mindset, and you will see where it lies, right? And then you can look at the same example with Tom, right, marching around his house. You know what I mean? And listen to him. I wanted to listen to that. I wanted to know what that man would have done for the world. But just as much as I wanted to hear how that singer was feeling. You know?
Yeah.
Both of them you could have interacted with. But you look at that and you see the mentality that causes these problems. It's cruelty, and it's real cruelty. Like, you know, you can't, if somebody's doesn't handle a situation, you know, that's all you hear on the media at the moment. Mental health this on Facebook, mental health that. But then somebody displays a product of mental health, they just, the stuff that people say is pretty savage, like.
Yeah.
You know? And it's, you just look at things, I look at little things like that just because that's my mind.
Yeah. Well, this is what, you know, I said when I said it in jest, because I was so shocked by certain people when they seen those protesters, they'll send the army in, and I'm like, right, well, you know, in times where the army has been sent into civilian situations like that, do you know how many soldiers have got PTSD? Do you realise how many people if anything goes wrong, that soldier has to live with that? Why haven't the police got PPE? Why aren't the police social distancing?
Well, you know, you look at that guy, and it's just happened in America now. That police officer knelt on his neck until he died. It's on video. It's on my Facebook. Knelt, wouldn't let him up. right? He was cuffed, right? You look at this. I watched one not so long back. I can't think of her name. She was in a police cell, and they tied her and spit gagged her to a chair, right? When she was clearly no threat at all, and we're talking like there was like 9 officers that did this to this poor girl, right? And you look at this, there's so much in the world like that now at the moment that it's going to take something big to get people to go, oh, do you know what? I acted like a complete arsehole. I really was out of order. Like, it's really hard for people to do things like that, Jazzy. And it's, you're going to find a lot of that coming out in funny ways with this lockdown.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
yes.
But yeah,
I at the end of the day, people ask about sort of going through this process, right? This awakening process, and people think it's like, oh, I wake up, right? It's not a case of, oh, I wake up. It's that you're there all the time. You're wrestling with it all the time. The difference is you're aware of it, and it's like, you've literally got to sit there and you've got to check yourself all the time. You've literally.
Oh,
I remember
all the time.
I remember a friend saying to me, "You've got to be careful what you say. You've got to be careful what you think, and you've got to be careful what you do." And it's true because
this is the thing you haven't got. I noticed you did a video, funny, man, made me laugh my head off, right? When you said about your binocular, and you said, "Will this get me 90 miles?"
What's
your
that?
binocular.
Yeah.
When you said, "Will this get me 90 miles?" Right?
Well, I was going to do a sequel to that. I was just going to put the cane on the chair. I was going to come into the camera and go, my secret weapon.
yeah. I made me laugh, right? For the second half of that video, you genuinely, and you should watch it back and really have a look at you struggled because you did not know what to say from right from wrong, and you contradicted yourself on it, right? Because you said it's affected my mental health, but something about fear, right? Don't be afraid. But you're saying it's affecting everyone. It's going to be now. It's now on impossible not to be afraid in this scenario.
But what I'm trying to say is it's okay to be afraid, but the moment you recognize what you're actually afraid of, that's the difference.
Yeah, you can see you're afraid, and this is the thing: you can be afraid of what to say from right from wrong, right? And I noticed that because you were having a different outcome on your social media to me, right? Yeah. Completely fucking opposite.
Yeah.
But I'm more inclined to be a little less fearful of what I say. Because, like you said, when you're in this sort of position, you think about it.
Well, to be honest, but making that video was kind of a bit of a catharsis for me. That was a sense of me actually getting to that point of saying, do you know what? I'm just going to say it. Because I've had enough. I've had enough of not saying it. I've had enough of just like, I've had enough of not, and this is the issue though, but is fear is what drives the world. And that is the crux. If you want to sum up all those messages I've had on that ghost box, let me finish before you cut me off. If you want to sum up, right, I could sum it up. All those messages I've had from my brother has been, go to where that fear is. Don't run away from the fear, but actually go through it, understand it, and work with it. And it literally it does, like, and yes, new fears come and new fears go, and it can take me sometimes a few weeks, a few months, even sometimes a few years to work through it. But once you get to that point of realization and understanding, it just drops away. Because you think, do you know what? Screw it. At the end of the day, why am I afraid of what people are thinking of when they were the ones advocating for having someone shot a couple of weeks ago? And all I'm saying is that actually a good idea?
Yeah. No, fear. Fear isn't essential. Fear isn't essential. We want to build things if we didn't have fear.
No, no,
You
no, no,
need
no,
it.
no, no, no,
It
no,
just,
no, no. We need fear in a sense as a survival mechanism. The way that we have fear in this world now, we do not need that. It is the cause of the problem. If the media couldn't put so many people in that amount of fear, but we wouldn't be having this issue.
no. It can explode. It can blow up.
It's
But
no,
it's in
it's
this.
not that, but it's the fear. It's the way the fear controls you. It's the fact that, like, when you were walking around, perhaps you haven't had this, right? But when I'm growing up, right? When I was growing up, right? A lot of times I would actually create things to be afraid of. I'd worry when I had nothing to worry about. Because I was so used to being in a state of fear. And I've been in that state of fear up until literally a year ago. And that's only a year ago I started to question it and I started to move beyond it. And that's what stops it, but that's for me, I can't speak for you, I can't speak for anyone else, but for me personally, but it's that fear. And it's not the fear of what someone trying to get you, or it's a fear of yourself. It's a fear of, if I am in X situation, am I going to be able to deal with it? That's where the fear comes from. And that fear is what I think each of us, on different varying levels, actually, that's what drives people. That's what causes the stuff, the reactions that you've just said now about people saying about. It's what ultimately drives people to do things like bounding and gagging a woman in a police cell.
Oh yeah. Oh no. Yeah. Yeah. I know what you mean, but it has a massive negative effect. But it's what creates the little things as well. It's what
You
It's
need
it's
it. I'm not saying you don't need fear in your life.
yeah.
You need trepidation. You need fear to tell you that jumping off that big cliff without a parachute is a bad idea.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? You don't need fear to stop you, speaking your truth or speaking your
No,
mind.
you shouldn't. No, that's yeah. That you should never be afraid to say how you feel.
You don't need fear that stops you worrying about if you're going to have a roof over your head in the next couple of weeks or food on your table. At the end of the day, in a society now that's kind of that should have moved beyond that, how the way that fear is created to motivate people to act in a certain way, so we don't share our resources, we fight over them instead.
Yeah.
So I was to explain that point. That's the point I was trying to make. Yeah, obviously you can tell I'm a little bit afraid, and in that video, what I'm afraid of is speaking out in the way I did. Because
Yeah.
it's the first time I've
That's
done
right.
it.
No, that's what I meant. You could see you were holding off, and you were really like, what? Oh God! But you were battling with what you were trying to say because you were trying to think: is this going to upset someone? Is this?
No, I
And
was just a bit nervous about saying it under that circumstance because I was trying to be funny, and I've never really
yeah.
got. I've never actually tried. I've never actually
Oh no.
tried to be funny before.
Yeah, no, it was actually it did when you said 120, I did actually. Emma was sleeping. I laughed out loud, and it was funny. But yeah, I think what's gonna happen now, right? And this is what I can say is if more people say I'm sorry, but this story is wrong, and we will see how quickly we could change things, and it doesn't have to be a fear attached to it. It doesn't have to feel like if you speak out something bad will happen to you, or you could get in trouble, or you could do this, because the truth is the truth. you
Yeah.
you should, in any world, right, in any scenario, in saying the truth, should be free to do, right? It should not get you in trouble, the truth. This is the power of it. So we just gotta, we can't just let this slide. We've gotta just keep pushing it.
And I think at the end of the day, my friend, is, even though, how the more now everyone's sort of like not distracted under this lockdown, I suppose it's the point I was trying to make earlier by saying it was an unselfish act. Maybe that was the wrong way of putting it. But in a sense, then, the fact that everyone is now in the same boat, we're all locked down, the lives of these people are going to be more and more apparent. And I don't know what it's going to take. I don't know what it's going to take for people to step out of that fear zone. But the problem is, it's going to take different for different people. Some people are not going to make that journey. Other people, it's going to take, this thing with Dominic Cummings might have been enough. Other people, it's going to take a lot more. I don't know. And I think it's going to be on a case-by-case basis until we get a critical mass of people that's going to go, no. Until then, I'm going to buy the T-shirt.
Yeah.
God, sorry.
Well, I feel like the scale, I got to be honest, as it stands, right, and as I've looked at it, I think the scales are slightly on the tip, but in
I agree.
The favour of right.
I agree.
Right? I wouldn't have said that a month back, right? But I think that scales, they're just dropping a little bit more, a grain of this, a grain of that, a grain of that. Before you know it, it's a lot. And that scales, I'm going to throw it out there and say the scales is tilting our way at the moment, especially with this. And we talked about this a couple of months back. We said we just leave them do it. Just leave him to it, and it'll come out on his own.
Well, it's not just people in our country. I shared one the other day. The mayor of Chicago did a public service announcement saying, don't get a haircut during lockdown. The next thing you know, she has a haircut, and people start seeing it. So she goes, well, yeah, I work in public service. I've got to look good.
I know. It's what I mean. It's the little things like that. They just keep plopping them out there, and it'll snowball.
Yeah.
It'll just snowball. It will. People, even the people who are like really staunch on the narrative that's being told in the media.
Well, if you look at those people, they go with the popular vote. If the popular vote swings in our direction, mate, they're going to come on our side. Well, suddenly they're going to find themselves in the minority. So the self-preservation thing is going to kick in again. And I say our side. I'm not on about conspiracy theorists now. Yes. Us I'm on about truthers. I'm just on about people that look at this world and go, God. That don't
look
make
at information
sense.
And say, look at information. Exactly. That's all we are, is people that look at the information and go, what?
Yeah.
What?
Go,
wait, that's not right. So, he can keep his well, he's if you like.
Well, I hear the
I just thought
Minister.
he's a conspiracy theorist.
Who?
The guy that said it.
Who now? The MP?
Yeah, he is a conspiracy theorist because he's put a conspiracy out. The conspiracy theorists are killing people.
Yes!
So he's actually, there's a couple of people in London now he's done over. So... So how do you like that one? Stick that one in your pipe and smoke it.
Right, so from your conspiracy theorist in Rhondda Cynon-Taf.
Yeah, you write that one. Well, is this a conspiracy? Because if it is, you're a bad man.
Well, I don't know if it is the MP for the Rhondda, and it might not be, right? But I know the MP for the Rhondda did actually put out something very, very similar on his own Facebook, literally the last week.
Nice.
So,
well, there we are then.
He
basically got his evidence from. If it's a conspiracy, I love it. I'll do a cartwheel. I haven't done one of them in years. I'll do a flick flack.
Right. Okay. If not, it'll be a thing we got wrong on the No Debate. All right. Well, we are going to put some more videos out this week. We've had a couple of days break just to sort of give ourselves, make ourselves feel a bit better and sort ourselves out. So should we call this one a day?
Yeah, I think so. But I think we're 2 hours now. I bet people are like, have they tuned out about
2
an
hours
hour
ago.
and 56 minutes? Yeah, hour and 56 minutes ago. Yeah. Yeah, we got stuff, guys. We just keep looking. We're gonna do some. We're gonna be hopefully when this, serious and staunch lockdown ends, we will be doing some paranormal stuff. You might see a video of me driving to the beach wearing sunglasses whilst talking to a police officer because I'm testing my new sunglasses. But you might see a video. You might. So, yeah. That's something to look forward to.
I might come with
Yeah,
you.
we got.
I tell you what, but pop round on the way. I'll give you my key, and you can tell me testing that.
Yeah. Oh my God. Just imagine if you just got out the car like I say, what? Just get out the car with your glasses and cane. That'd be freaking amazing. Say, I'm just testing this new car board. Like, I'll take it for a run. You see a cop, I go, excuse me.
Okay, right. Well, thank you very much, guys. Yeah, I've been chatting about this.
And I've been Richard Oliver.
Take care.